He had heard about the human ship that did the impossible. In the Grand Alliance Council chamber, representatives from 200 species argued loudly about what it meant. "This is a direct violation of our most sacred shipping laws," shouted the Zark ambassador, his scales flaring with anger. "These humans must be punished." Ambassador Jiho from Earth stood calmly in the center of the chamber, facing the storm of accusations with dignity. He was new to galactic politics, but he knew how to stand his ground. "The Dauntless defended itself against pirates using innovation, not violation," Jiho stated. "If your ships hadn't attacked ours, we wouldn't have needed to use our new technology." A tall, thin alien with crystal skin spoke next. "The issue isn't defense, but the method. Your ship moved in ways that our scientists declare impossible. This suggests the humans are hiding technology from the Alliance." Jiho smiled slightly. "Not hiding. Discovering. Humans simply found a gap in current understanding of physics." Back on Earth, Engineer Sung-ho had become an overnight celebrity. News cameras followed him as he entered the Global Space Command headquarters for an emergency meeting. "Is it true that human ships can move through solid matter?" asked one reporter. "Can we teleport now?" shouted another. Sung-ho kept walking, offering no comment. Inside the meeting room, he found Admiral Yuna waiting with a team of Earth's top scientists and military leaders. "Tell us exactly what happened out there," Admiral Yuna said once the doors were closed. Sung-ho displayed his data on the main screen. "The dimensional shift drive doesn't break physics. It expands it. We're operating on principles that the Alliance hasn't discovered yet." "And can we replicate this technology?" asked one of the scientists. "Already working on it," Sung-ho replied with pride. "I've simplified the design. We could outfit 20 ships by the end of the month." Admiral Yuna nodded slowly. "The Alliance is sending inspectors to examine our fleet. They suspect we're hiding advanced alien technology." "Let them look," Sung-ho said confidently. "They won't understand what they're seeing." On the Dauntless, now docked at Alliance Central Station, Captain Minho sat in his quarters reading messages from Earth Command. Most were congratulatory, but all contained the same warning: expect trouble. A knock on his door interrupted his thoughts. Officer Gina entered, looking excited. "Captain, you should see this," she said, handing him a data pad. The screen showed dozens of messages from across the galaxy, not from officials, but from ordinary people. Species that had been looked down on by the Alliance elite for centuries were celebrating the human achievement. "We're becoming symbols," Minho said quietly. "Heroes to some, criminals to others," Gina agreed. "The station is buzzing with rumors about us." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent call. Admiral Yuna's face appeared on the screen. "Captain Minho, we have a situation that requires your unique capabilities," she said without preamble. "An Alliance research vessel is stranded in forbidden space surrounded by Vex forces." Minho frowned. "The Vex Empire? They're technologically superior to everyone in the Alliance, which is why conventional ships can't attempt rescue," the Admiral explained. "But the Dauntless isn't conventional, is it?" After the call ended, Minho gathered his senior officers in the ship's meeting room. He explained the mission while Gina displayed the coordinates. "This is practically a suicide mission," said the tactical officer. "The Vex will detect any ship entering their territory." "Any normal ship," Sung-ho corrected, entering the room with new data. "But I've made improvements to our drive. We can now maintain a phase shift for up to 6 hours without damaging the ship." "Meaning we could slip in undetected?" Minho asked. "In theory, yes," Sung-ho confirmed. "We would be partially out of phase with normal space. Conventional sensors shouldn't detect us." Later that night, as most of the crew slept, Minho stood alone on the observation deck looking out at the stars. He heard footsteps behind him and turned to see Ambassador Jiho approaching. "I thought I'd find you here," Jiho said. "Contemplating your next move?" "Contemplating what it all means," Minho replied. "In just 1 week, humanity has gone from the Alliance's newest junior member to its biggest concern." Jiho nodded. "Fear and respect often look similar in politics," The old powers fear change because it threatens their position. And the rescue mission? Is that politics too? Partly, Jiho admitted, but also necessity. That research vessel was studying Vex technology. If we rescue those scientists and their data, Earth gains more knowledge, Minho finished the thought. And more leverage, Jiho added. The Alliance needs to see that human innovation can be a gift, not a threat. As dawn approached, Minho made his decision. The Dauntless would attempt the rescue, venturing into territory where no Alliance ship had successfully gone before. As he gave orders to prepare for departure, he couldn't help wondering if they were heading toward humanity's greatest triumph, or its greatest disaster. The Dauntless drifted silently through the dense asteroid field that marked the border of Vex territory. Normal ships couldn't navigate this region, but pilot Junho guided the vessel with unusual confidence. His hands moved across the controls as if he were playing an instrument rather than flying a spaceship. Phase shift holding. At 60%, Engineer Sung-ho reported from his station. We're partly in normal space and partly somewhere else. Captain Minho nodded, his eyes fixed on the main view screen. Ahead of them loomed a massive asteroid that would normally force them to change course. Proceed directly forward, pilot. The crew held their breath as the MAR. Send a boarding team, Minho ordered. Get those scientists and their data. What followed was a rescue operation unlike any in Galactic Heap approached the giant rock. There was a strange tingling sensation as the dauntless horizon is entering. Our phase state passed straight through the solid asteroid. From the outside, it would have looked as if the ship had simply disappeared. That's impossible, whispered one of the newer crew members. Not impossible, Sung-ho corrected with a small smile. Just new physics. Officer Gina's voice cut through the amazement. Captain, I'm detecting the research vessel, Horizon. It's hidden in a crater on the large asteroid ahead. Life signs present but weak. And company? Asked Minho. 2 Vex destroyers patrolling nearby. They haven't detected us yet. The Vex were known throughout the galaxy for their superior technology and ruthless tactics. Their ships were twice the size of the Dauntless and carried weapons that could cut through Alliance shields like paper. Minho studied the tactical display. Can we maintain our phase shift and dock with the Horizon? Sung-ho frowned. That's the problem, Captain. To rescue the crew, we'd need to return to normal space. The moment we do, the Vex will detect us. The bridge fell silent as everyone considered their options. Then Sung-ho's eyes widened suddenly. Unless, Captain, I have an idea that breaks even more laws of physics. I'm listening, Minho said. We could extend our phase field to encompass the Horizon, Sung-ho explained quickly. In theory, we could bring them into our dimensional state without fully returning to normal space ourselves. Has this ever been attempted? Minho asked. Never, Sung-ho admitted. But the math works. Minho didn't hesitate. Make it happen. The next hour was tense as the Dauntless positioned itself directly above the stranded research vessel. Sung-ho worked frantically at his console, making calculations and adjustments to the phase drive. I need more power, he called out. We'll have to divert energy from life support. Do it, Minho ordered. Everyone, put on your emergency breathers. The lights dimmed as power flowed into the experimental drive. A new humming sound filled the ship, rising in pitch until it was almost painful to hear. Phase extension initiating, Sung-ho announced. This will feel strange. The sensation that swept through the ship was unlike anything the crew had experienced before. It felt as if reality itself was stretching around them, creating a bubble that reached down toward the horizon. On the view screen, they could see the research vessel beginning to shimmer, its solid form becoming slightly transparent as it was pulled into their dimensional state. It's working, Gina reported in amazement. The story, the boarding team led by Security Chief Hyun, moved through the phase-shifted space between the 2 ships without using shuttles or airlocks. They simply walked from one vessel to another, through what appeared to be solid hull. 20 minutes later, Hyun's voice came through the comm system. Captain, we have 17 survivors and their research data, ready for extraction. Movement, Gina suddenly called out. The Vex destroyers have changed course. They're heading directly for the Horizon's position. Have they detected us? Minho asked sharply. I don't think so, Gina replied, studying her readings. They seem to be performing a routine check, but they'll be in visual range in less than 2 minutes. Sungho looked up from his console, his face tense. Captain, I don't know if we can maintain this extended phase field much longer. The power requirements are enormous. Boarding team, double time, Minho ordered. Everyone back to the Dauntless. Now. The rescue team hurried the weakened scientists through the phase field. The last of them had barely reached the Dauntless when the first Vex destroyer appeared around the edge of the asteroid. They've spotted the Horizon, Gina reported. They're powering weapons. Retract the phase field, Minho commanded. Focus all power on our own shift drive. The bubble of altered space collapsed back into the Dauntless, just as the Vex ship fired. Their weapons hit the empty crater where the Horizon had been moments before. The research vessel, now fully inside the Dauntless phase field, had disappeared from normal space along with the human ship. The Vex commanders were left staring at empty space, their sensors showing impossible readings. By the time they realized what had happened, the Dauntless was already racing back toward Alliance space, carrying both its crew and the rescued scientists. In the medical bay, the lead scientist from the Horizon gripped Captain Minho's hand. How did you do this? It shouldn't be possible. Minho smiled. That's becoming humanity's specialty. The Vex invasion came without warning. 3 powerful fleets jumped into Alliance space simultaneously, targeting major population centers. Conventional defense ships crumbled within hours. 3 core worlds fell in a single day. On Earth, Admiral Yuna stood before the Emergency Council, her face grim as she showed footage of the devastation. The Alliance defenses have failed. Their ships can't stand against Vex technology. What do the Vex want? Asked one council member. Total domination, Admiral Yuna replied. And they know about our phase technology. They consider it a threat to their supremacy. The council chamber erupted in debate. Some argued for isolation, protecting Earth alone. Others pushed for immediate action. We need to deploy the fleet, urged Admiral Yuna. We have 30 ships now equipped with the dimensional drive. The Alliance hasn't asked for our help, objected the defense minister. Captain Minho, recently promoted to fleet commander, stepped forward. They won't ask. Pride will prevent them until it's too late. Before the council could reach a decision, urgent news arrived. The Vex Armada was moving toward Proxima Station, a space habitat housing over 30,000 Alliance refugees who had fled the initial attacks. This is no longer about politics, Minho stated firmly. This is about saving lives. Within hours, 12 human vessels jumped to Proxima's location. They arrived to find 5 massive Vex warships already in position, preparing to fire on the defenseless station, aboard the lead human ship, Defiance. Minho addressed his fleet. This is humanity's moment. Not to conquer, but to protect. Activate phase drives on my mark. The human ships engaged their dimensional technology simultaneously. To observers on Proxima Station, it looked as if the Earth vessels simply vanished. Inside, the Vex flagship Grand Commander Zeth stared at his tactical display in confusion. Where did they go? Scan all approach vectors. Sir, his second-in-command reported with alarm. Sensors show spatial distortions inside our formation. Impossible, muttered Zeth. Nothing can penetrate our defense grid. But the impossible was happening. The human ships had phased into a state between dimensions and moved directly into the heart of the Vex formation. Now they shifted back into normal space, appearing literally inside the enemy's defensive perimeter. All ships execute attack pattern Omega, Minho ordered calmly. What followed was unlike any battle ever witnessed in the galaxy. Human ships moved through solid matter, appearing and disappearing at will. They passed through Vex vessels, leaving targeted explosives inside engine rooms and weapon systems before phasing away again. Pilot Junho, now commanding his own ship, Swift, developed new maneuvers on the spot. His vessel performed loops and turns that violated known physics, moving in patterns that defied prediction algorithms. "They're not following any known flight path," shouted a Vex tactical officer as he tried desperately to target the human ships. 2. Vex warships exploded simultaneously as internal charges detonated their power cores. A third drifted helplessly, its systems failing after a precise strike. Grand Commander Zeth watched in growing horror as his supposedly invincible force was systematically dismantled. "Retreat," he finally ordered. "All ships withdraw immediately." The remaining Vex ships jumped away. Cheers erupted across Proxima Station. The human fleet reappeared in normal space, forming a protective circle around the habitat. "This is Commander Minho of Earth," came the transmission to the station. "Proxima Station is under our protection. To any Alliance refugees, you are welcome here." Hours later, Alliance representatives arrived, expecting to find destruction. Instead, they were met by intact human ships guarding the saved station. "How did you defeat a Vex armada?" asked the stunned Alliance admiral. "By changing the rules," Minho replied simply. News of the victory spread quickly. On dozens of worlds, people watched recordings of human ships performing impossible maneuvers. Species that had dismissed Earth as primitive now spoke of humans, with a mixture of fear and admiration. In a secure meeting room on the Alliance capital world, military leaders from various species gathered to discuss the new reality. "We cannot ignore what happened at Proxima," said the Alliance High Commander. "The humans have changed warfare forever." "They're too dangerous," argued the Zark representative. "Their technology gives them too much power. Yet they use that power only to defend," noted a wise ancient member of the Thrall species. "They could have attacked us at any time since developing this technology. Instead, they saved thousands of lives." As the debate continued, Earth's small fleet began expanding its protection to other threatened worlds. Refugee ships flocked to human-protected zones, knowing they would be safe there. On the edges of Alliance space, Vex commanders regrouped and planned their next move. They had never faced defeat before, and did not accept it easily. Their scientists worked frantically to develop countermeasures against the phase technology. Meanwhile, engineer Sung-ho and his team made a troubling discovery. The dimensional drives were starting to affect normal space around them, creating instabilities that grew with each use. "We're pushing the boundaries of physics too hard," Sung-ho told Minho during an encrypted call. "Reality itself is starting to push back." Minho nodded gravely. "Then we need to find another way before the Vex return. Because they will return, and next time they'll be ready for us." The Vex returned after 2 weeks of silence. This time, they brought something new, a massive ship unlike any seen before. It moved slowly toward Earth, ignoring all attempts at communication. "What is that thing?" Admiral Yuna asked, looking at the images on the main screen at Earth Command Center. "Engineer." Sung-ho studied the readings with growing concern. "It's emitting a strange energy field, like nothing we've ever encountered." They soon discovered the true purpose of the Vex device. When human ships attempted to engage their phase drives near the massive vessel, nothing happened. The dimensional technology simply failed to activate. "They've created a reality anchor," Sung-ho explained to the Emergency Council. "It's stabilizing space-time around it, preventing any dimensional manipulation." The news spread quickly through the human fleet. Without their phase technology, they had lost their only advantage against the superior Vex weapons. 3 days later, the Vex launched their full assault. Conventional defenses held briefly, but began to crumble under the relentless attack. The reality anchor moved closer to Earth, expanding its field to cover more space. Aboard the Defiance, Commander Minho gathered his senior officers for what might be their final strategy session. "All phase drives are offline within 10,000 kilometers of the anchor," reported Gina, now his tactical officer. "We can't get close enough to attack the device directly." Pilot Junho had been quiet throughout the meeting, staring at the tactical display with intense focus. Finally, he spoke. "If they're anchoring reality, we go beyond it. Everyone turned to look at him. What do you mean? Minho asked. They're stabilizing three-dimensional space and preventing us from phase shifting, Junho explained. But what if we push further? Not just between dimensions, but into higher dimensions entirely. Sungho's eyes widened. Fifth-dimensional space? It's theoretical, but he began making rapid calculations on his pad. It might work. Instead of trying to bend the rules, we break them completely. How long to implement this? Minho asked. Hours, not days, Sungho replied. But I can't guarantee it will work. We'd be venturing into unknown territory. We have no choice, Minho decided. Make it happen. While Sungho and his team worked frantically to modify the phase drives, the human fleet fought a desperate holding action against the advancing Vex forces. Ships were lost on both sides, but the humans were clearly outmatched without their special technology. 6 hours later, Sungho contacted Minho. It's ready, but untested. We've reconfigured the drive to push past the reality anchor's field by moving into fifth-dimensional space. What should we expect? Minho asked. I don't know, Sungho admitted. Theoretically, we could exist in multiple states simultaneously, but no one has ever done this before. Minho gave the order to the remaining fleet. All ships prepare for dimensional jump on my mark. The human vessels gathered in formation, their modified drives humming with new energy. The reality anchor loomed ahead, its field blocking any conventional phase shift. Now, Minho ordered. The sensation was unlike anything they had experienced before. For the crews of the human ships, it felt as if reality itself had shattered around them. They could see in all directions at once, perceiving time and space as fluid concepts rather than fixed constraints. In normal space, something extraordinary happened. The human ships didn't just disappear, they multiplied. Each vessel seemed to split into multiple versions of itself, all existing simultaneously in slightly different realities. The Vex flagship's sensors went wild as they detected 30 versions of the same human vessel surrounding them. Each version was both there and not there, solid and ghostly, moving in ways that defied all understanding. Impossible, the Vex Grand Commander whispered, as his tactical display showed human ships passing through his reality anchor, as if it weren't there. The battle that followed was brief, but decisive. The multiple-state human ships were untouchable by conventional weapons, while their own attacks struck with perfect precision. The reality anchor, the pride of Vex technology, was surrounded by 5 versions of the Defiance, each placing explosives in a different crucial system. When the anchor exploded, the shockwave rippled through reality itself. For a moment, stars seemed to shift positions as space-time rebalanced. The Vex surrender came within minutes. Their flagship, faced with 20 human vessels that existed in multiple states simultaneously, had no defense. In the aftermath, as Alliance representatives arrived to witness the impossible victory, Minho stood on the bridge of the Defiance looking out at Earth. What happens now? Asked Gina. Now we rewrite the laws, Minho replied. Not just the laws of the Alliance, but the laws of physics as we understand them. A month later, the Galactic Scientific Assembly convened a historic session. Engineer, Sungho stood before representatives from every spacefaring race, including the defeated Vex. The universe isn't limited by the laws we thought existed, he explained, showing equations that most species had never imagined possible. It's limited only by our imagination and our courage to explore beyond what we know. 1 year later, the first joint human alliance vessel launched from Earth orbit. Its revolutionary drive system combined technologies from a dozen worlds, all built around the dimensional principles discovered by humans. On its bridge stood Captain Minho, now a legend throughout the galaxy. Beside him was Officer Gina as his first officer, and Pilot Junho at the controls. Where to, Captain? Asked Gina. Minho smiled at the stars ahead. Everywhere we've been told we can't go. Team Baron.